Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Liz and I am a medical technologist and pharmaceutical chemist with over 30 years of experience in the pharmaceutical and medical industry. I'm also a carnivore. I have been for almost 3 years. It's crazy. In November, it'll be 3 years. I was 100 pounds overweight. I had a laundry list of medical conditions that the medical establishment couldn't touch, and carnivore resolved every single problem I had. I have never felt better. But fast forward to about a week ago. I finally took a much needed 1 week vacation. I was able to fit into a bikini. It was amazing. I had so much fun. And when I left for this trip, I had fully intended on keeping track of the carnivore way of life and sticking to the plan and doing what's right and what I know works for me. But things didn't exactly go to plan. I'm here to make a full confession. I cheated on the carnivore diet. I did. I shit the bed. I went in the ditch. I went off the beaten path. I got lost. And what happened, you ask, from all of that? Well, I think it's definitely something we need to talk about right here on the Carnivore Science Channel. Yep, you heard it right. During my vacation, I made choices that were definitely outside of the realm of the carnivore diet. There was this one meal that I had at a seafood restaurant where it was mostly like boil, like, it's a crab boil type of thing, but they served it with fries, and I ate 3 French fries. I actually did. Now, I did this intentionally because, fun fact, I'm terrified of certain foods, like phobic, like very afraid, like irrationally afraid of certain foods. And I kind of feel like, well, if I ever eat that food, if it ever passes my lips, I'm just going to relapse and I'm going to go all the way back to the standard American diet. I'm going to have my food addiction is going to go through the roof and I'm never going to be able to stop and all this kind of stuff. So I was at dinner and I ate 3 of it was these little fries, these little kind of thick cut fries or whatever. And I ate 3 of them, and I was like, wow, this is not like I remembered it. It wasn't something that I wanted to keep eating. There was more on my plate because it came with it, and I didn't want any more. I ate 3 of these little stubby fries, and I stopped. I didn't have to make myself stop. I wasn't out of control, and I didn't think about it later. So that was actually a big revelation for me. Now, I didn't have any problems with it later, really, because, a lot of vegetables will kind of make me feel like crap later. It caused a lot of inflammation that I had a problem with years ago. So I don't eat vegetables, but I didn't eat enough of it to really do anything. But that was kind of an epiphany. Another thing I ate is I won't eat breaded food. Breaded meat or anything like that. And I ate scallops that were lightly breaded. I kind of scraped part of it off, but I left some of it because I figured, hey, I'm on vacation. I'm not going to stress about the little things, because it wasn't a ton of breading. So I ate that. It was very good. It was really good. I had a little bit of this and that here and there type of stuff. Another thing that I cheated on is I ate sugar-free popsicles, which, again, chemical garbage. Don't recommend it. But, it was really hot. They tasted good. It's like, the Kool-Aid popsicles, but it's sugar-free. And I'm sure it had sucralose or something god-awful in it. Had some of those, but didn't want to binge. Surprisingly, did not want to binge. So that was kind of amazing. Now, the other thing that I did that is really terrible, and I don't recommend this to anybody, but I drank. And what I drank was these White Claws. They taste kind of crappy, carbonated. I guess they're ciders or something, or seltzers. I don't know what they're called. Hard seltzers or whatever they are. They're I don't know if you ever lived through the 80s or 90s, like if you remember Zima, I think same shit, different day kind of thing. But They weren't terrible, terrible tasting or whatever, but they do have a decent amount of alcohol. And these were what most of us are drinking on the beach. They don't have but a few carbs, but it's a chemical nightmare from hell. And no, nobody should ingest it. I have to say, we had a blast. We actually did have a blast. I was able to relax because I have I have a stressful job, and I hadn't taken a vacation in years. And it did help me kind of unwind. And I had fun. So, and we did that maybe 3 different days. I also had, at dinner, I had a triple distilled vodka and water, like, with a little bit of lemon in it or something like that. So that's definitely not carnivore approved. I had heard Anthony Chaffee talk about if he ever drinks anything. I don't know if he still does, but it's like he talked about once upon a time, like if he ever drank anything, it would be like a little bit of a triple distilled vodka because it's, I don't know, less crappy or something. So I did some of that. Definitely something I don't normally do. Alcohol makes me feel kind of crappy usually. So I just don't. I don't care for it for the most part, but occasionally I will. So that was the cheating that I actually did. And I ended up having a very good vacation. I didn't cause any damage from doing this. And again, you have to decide for yourself what you can tolerate and what you can't, and your own limits. That's important because everybody is different. There's some people that have such strict diets that if they eat the least little thing, they cause themselves a lot of grief. That is a different story. Jordan Peterson once said, he was telling Joe Rogan about how the carnivore diet had solved all of his problems and he felt like $1,000,000 now. But he said, God help you if you ever go off of it, or if you ever eat anything that's not, on carnivore. He said, because it really caused him a lot of problems. He had significant problems, but he has a lot of issues that restrict exactly what he's got to eat. He has to eat, I think, lion diet. Basically, he eats ruminant animals and water. So that is what he has to do for him to feel his best. And if he goes off of it, you have significant problems. I didn't have any significant problems for the detours that I took on this vacation. And to me, it was worth it. What I did was worth it, and it didn't cause me any significant issues. And it's not like, I'm going to start eating in a different way or anything like that. But I was glad to find out that I didn't have to be afraid of putting a French fry in my mouth. I was literally terrified of putting a French fry in my mouth. I don't know why I had such an irrational fear of it, because food has been an addiction to me, and it was a strong addiction. So that was the extent of my cheating. It's not very, I don't know. I guess it would have been more exciting if I told you I ate a loaf of bread or something like that. But I didn't even touch bread. Like, bread like rolls or, buns or sandwich bread or anything like that. I didn't go near any of that. So, could have been a lot worse. You might see other carnivore influencers who seem to have unwavering discipline. And honestly, I admire that. But it's important to remember that what you see online is often just a highlight reel. We're all human and life happens, I see people who I'm extremely impressed by. One of those people is Dr. Anthony Chaffee. He's one of the people that I imagine to be just the perfect carnivore that just never, ever, ever, ever goes off the beaten path. And it might be true. He may never, ever, ever do anything that is not 100% carnivore, outside of what I was talking about with the vodka thing. But, life is long, and as time goes by, something that you don't imagine ever happening will probably happen. Like, I doubt seriously that all carnivores, even the ones that seem to be the most dedicated and the most pure and perfect, nobody is perfect. And when it comes to food, at some point, you're probably going to make a concession. You're probably going to just go, it's a little bit breading. I'll just scrape it off, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. Or, I'll have this drink or that drink once in a while. And you cannot beat yourself up about it and expect that you're going to be perfect. It's not worth it, you know. And I think that the experience of trying different things and screwing up like this has valuable lessons. There's valuable lessons to be learned from this, like the fact that I don't have to be afraid of a potato anymore. That's good to know, you know? Or another lesson that can be learned is if you do screw up, you fall off the wagon, and it does make you feel like shit, well, you're probably going to go right back to eating the way that you knew worked. You're going to go back to carnivore, and you're going to eat the way that you know works for you. You know, because you're not going to keep eating the stuff that makes you feel like crap when you felt so good for so long. That's just not logical, you know. Here's the thing that I think is really interesting about going off on that little detour. Going off plan, even for a short amount of time, gives you some valuable insights. First, it reminded me of why I started the carnivore diet in the first place. I didn't have a lot of problems. I did feel a little bit of inflammation after the week was up. So a little bit of it started creeping back. And it was very clear that, you know, I like life without this inflammation. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't significant. It didn't make me feel terrible. But I knew that if I was to keep doing the things I had done that week for longer than just that week and just those instances, I would be in terrible pain. And there's nothing that's worth going back to that. There is no food that's good enough for me to turn away from the carnivore diet that has solved all of my problems. Nothing. And being reminded of that is not a bad thing. It's really not, because you have to remind yourself of why you did this to begin with, and remind yourself of why it's so successful. So that's one good thing that happened from this. So where do I go from here? I'm back home and back on the carnivore track. No guilt, no beating myself up. There's no point. And besides, I learned from this experience and came out better for it. And I have more clarity, and I was reminded of why I started this in the first place. So this week has actually motivated me even more to continue sharing my journey and helping other people who are trying to find their way out of pain and inflammation and obesity and all kinds of problems, because this diet does work. It really does work. I mean, there's adjustments you have to make, and you know, there's differences of how you approach this diet for everybody, because everybody's coming from different places. They're coming from places of health problems or obesity or inflammation or just all kinds of issues. And you have to figure out what works for you as far as how you approach this diet, how you do it, how fast you do it, whether you do lion diet. There's a lot to consider, but it does work. And I'm not going back. There's nothing that can make me go backwards on this diet and go back to the way it was. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever experienced cheating on the carnivore diet? Have you found any kind of value in doing so? Or was it a terrible, disastrous mistake that you were never able to recover from? Let me know, because I'm very interested in your experience with this kind of thing. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, and if you would like to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.